Hello, welcome back. So now we will start our lecture, and that is about stress and strain. So the content that we are going to cover in this lecture is this. So in this first we will get introduced with the subject mechanics of material, because the content that we are going to learn in this lecture, it is related to the subject mechanics of material. So first we will understand this, and then we will review the basics of statics that we have learned in the structural mechanics subject, and then we will get introduced with the concept of stresses and the concept of normal stresses, shear stresses, bearing stresses, and then we will see what is the concept of strain, and then we will briefly discuss the mechanical properties of the material with the help of stress strain diagram, and then we will solve some of the example to understand the concept that we have learned. So talking about the mechanics of material, well, this subject mechanics of material is basically a field of study of this subject, which is engineering mechanics. So engineering mechanics comprises three field of study. The first two field is related to the statics and dynamic behavior of the forces acting on a body. So in the statics that we have learned in the subject of structural mechanics. So in the statics, generally we study the static forces acting on the body. Similarly, in case of dynamics, we study dynamic forces acting on the body. And basically this field, statics and dynamics, they are related to, they are mainly concerned with the external effects of the forces acting on the body. Now, while talking about the subject mechanics of material, this mechanics of material is basically related to, we in this subject uh, we study internal forces acting within the body. So that is about the mechanics of material. So other name of this subject, mechanics of material, it is also known as strength of material. It is also known as mechanics of deformable bodies. So that is also the names of this subject. Now, a thorough understanding of this subject, or the fundamentals of this subject, is very important for designing any structural element, because there are various formulas that are actually based on the theory of this subject. So that is why we are going to learn some of the concept of this subject. So now starting with our review of the topic that we have learned in the structural mechanics, equilibrium of a deformable body. So as I discussed in the previous slide also, that the statics, in the statics what we do is we study static forces acting on the body, and this statics plays a very important role in both the development and application of the mechanics of materials, and that is why it is very important to have a good understanding of the statics. So here in this slide we will review the concept of statics. So with the help of this diagram, first we will review what is force. So basically force can be of two type. One force can be a surface force, and the other can be body force. So the surface force can be a concentrated force or a distributed force. So concentrated force can be a force which is spreading only on a very small area. So that force can be termed as concentrated or point load or point force, concentrated or point force. Like this force, you can term this as a concentrated force. Similarly, the other force can be the force which is spreading over a large area or over a large length, like you can see this force. So this force can be termed as distributed force. So if it is uniformly distributed, then it will be uniformly distributed force. Or if the distribution is not uniform, then in that case it will be termed as non-uniform or varying force. So that is the first component of the statics, that is about the force, study of forces. Now, this force will generate the reaction. Now, talking about the reaction, so reaction are basically developed at the support point. So there are various supports. So we have studied in the structural mechanics subject that basically there are three types of support. One is roller support, this one is the roller support, and this one is the hinge support, and the other support is the fixed support. So roller support offer only one reaction. Hinge support will offer two reactions, one along the vertical direction and the second one along the horizontal direction. So in roller support, it will offer resistance against the vertical translation. Similarly, hinge support will offer resistance against the horizontal and vertical translation. Now, in this statics, we assume that this force will be transferred through this body, and we assume that this body is a rigid body. Rigid body. Now, rigid bodies are those bodies which will not deform under the effect of load. So we assume that either this body is rigid body or a body which have a very less deformation. So this force will directly transfer to the support point. Now, in this course and in this subject, mechanics of material, what we are going to do is we will extend this understanding. Now we will understand what is the internal effect generated or developed because of this external force. So this external force and this reaction, this will also be external force. So now how this external force will be affecting this body internally. So that is what we are going to learn. We are going to study in this lecture. So to find out the reaction, we can use the equilibrium analysis. So in the equilibrium analysis, we generally follow the conditions of equilibrium. And in the conditions of equilibrium, we generally have basically two equations. One is summation of F is equals to 0 and summation of M is equals to 0. Now, if we are analyzing the body in two-dimensional, so in that case, we can have three equations of equilibrium. One is force in x direction, summation of force in x direction should be 0, and summation of force in y direction should be 0, and summation of moment in about z axis should be 0. So that these three equations we generally use in the two-dimensional body. When we analyze three-dimensional body, so these equations become equivalent to 6. So in that case, we have three force equation in all three axes, x, y, z. Similarly, we have three equations of moment along x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. So that is about the statics. Now, talking about the internal forces. So as I said, we generally use equilibrium analysis of a rigid body. Now, this equilibrium analysis is primarily concerned with the calculation of the external reactions and the internal reactions if there is any internal support point or internal hinge. So now, with the help of equilibrium analysis, we can even find out internal forces also acting within the body. So now those internal forces can be in the form of shear force, or can be in the form of moment, or can be in the form of normal force. So now we are going to learn how we can find out them. So as I said, in the mechanics of material, we will extend our this study to analyze, analysis to determine internal forces, that is force that act on cross sections that are internal to the body itself. Now for this, we will consider a body. For example, in this case, you can see there is this body in the three-dimensional form, and it is subjected to some forces, some external forces, say F1 force, F2 force, F3 force, F4 force. So now this body is subjected to these forces. Now, if we want to find out the internal effect of these forces at any particular cross-sectional area, for example, in this body, if we want to find out internal effect of these forces on a cross-section, say it is marked as cross-section 1. So in this case, if we want to find out internal forces, developed because of these external forces. So what we do is, first we will isolate this section, either of the section. So either we isolate the left hand side part or the right hand side part, and then we will expose this cross sectional area. So in that cross sectional area, we will have two resultant forces. One resultant force, one is the resultant force, and the second one is the resultant moment. Because you can see here, these forces are not concurrent. You can see F1, F2, F3, they are not concurrent. They are not meeting at any particular point, at a single point. So these forces will create moment also. So if we cut the, if we isolate one of the part of this body, and if we want to expose this cross section, so here you can see the cross section is exposed, and on this cross section we have two internal force. One is in the form of resultant force, and the second one is in the form of resultant couple or resultant moment. So these forces, these straight forces, will have some resultant force, and also they will be creating moment about this point. So the resultant moment will be represented as CR. Okay, so these double headed arrow, they are actually representing the moment. Okay, and this single arrow is actually representing the resultant force. So now this resultant force which is acting on this cross section will, we can have conventionally we can have horizontal and vertical component of this resultant force. Similarly, we can have a component of this couple moment also. So first we will see, we will have the component of the resultant force. So as you can see, this resultant force is acting at some angle. So this resultant force can be divided into two component. So here you can see there are two component. One component is acting perpendicular to the cross section, and the second component is acting parallel to the cross section. So this component P, it is acting perpendicular to the cross section. So this P can be termed as axial force, and similarly this V force, it is acting parallel to the cross section. So this V force can be termed as shear force. Similarly, if we talk about the couple, so this couple is acting along, say, at a particular axis. So this couple will be something like this. So it is rotating about a particular axis. So this couple will also have, can be divided into two component also, like this one. So as you can see, this couple is acting about any unknown axis. So we can divide this couple moment into two component. So again, if we have axis along the body, so couple about this axis. Similarly, perpendicular to this axis, we can have axis this one. So this couple which is acting along this unknown axis, what we have done is we have divided this couple into two component. One is acting along the axis parallel to the member, and the other axis which is parallel to the cross section. So in this case, what we have done is we have divided this couple. So one couple is acting along the axis parallel to the member, and the other couple is acting along the axis parallel to the cross section. So this is how we can resolve these internal couple and internal force in four component. One is shear force, second one is normal force. Similarly, in case of couple, we have two more internal moment. One is in the form of moment acting along the axis parallel to the main length of the body, and the couple moment acting along the axis which is parallel to the cross section of the body. Now, effect of these four internal forces, we can summarize those effect with the figure. So in this case, you can see this is a body which is undeformed. So if we consider the effect of this force, as you can see, one force which is say normal force, and the other force is which is parallel to the cross section. So we are terming this as V. So effect of this force, it can be in terms of elongation or can be in terms of compression. So here we are showing this perpendicular to the cross section, and which is pulling it. So that is why the effect is elongation. If the arrow is towards the cross section, so in that case this can be compression. Similarly, the second component which is parallel to the cross section area, so here you can see the deformed shape of body because of the second effect. Similarly, the component of moment, the resultant moment, which is, so now you can see as this is the axis along the body. So about this axis, when we apply a rotation, so you can see this rotation will actually twist this body. So this is the third effect, third deformation because of the internal force, which is in the form of twisting. So this T is termed as torsional moment. Now, talking about the second component of the resultant moment. So as we have seen that, say this is one axis and this is the second axis, which is parallel to the cross section. So moment or rotation about this axis will lead to the twisting. Similarly, the rotation about this axis will lead to bending of this body. So ultimately, we have four effects. I mean, four kind of deformation because of the internal forces developed within the body because of the external forces. So up to this point, we were concerned only with the resultant of the internal forces. Now we have to see how they are distributed at the cross section. So that is what I have written here. However, in the design, the manner in which the internal forces are distributed at the cross sections, they are also very important, because then only we can design the member, or we can see what should be the dimension of a member to carry a particular load. So how this resultant force is distributed over this whole cross sectional area, it is very important. And this consideration that we are considering, like how this force is distributed over this cross sectional area, is very important, and this will lead to the introduction of the force intensity at a point which is called the stress. So stress is called force per unit area, and this concept of stress, it plays a very important role in the design of load bearing members. So here, if we consider a differential element within the cross section, so as you can see here, we are assuming that there is a differential element, and the area of that differential element is, say, delta A. Now the resultant force acting on this differential area will be delta R, and similarly the component of this delta R perpendicular to this differential area will be delta P, and parallel to this differential area will be delta V. So now, if we want to find out the stress vector at this differential area, if we want to find out the stress vector, then how do we do that? So we can do that by following the limits. So in this case, you can see as this differential area tends to 0, so therefore we can write the stress vector at this differential area can be limit delta A tends to 0 and resultant force divided by the area of cross section of that differential area. Similarly, we can find out the stress vector for the component also. So if we represent the stress vector tau as the shear stress vector, and sigma as the normal stress vector, then we can also find out that using the limit. So in this case, sigma is limit delta A tends to 0, and it will be delta P upon delta A. So delta P is the force upon cross-sectional area of the differential area. So that becomes ultimately dP by dA. Similarly, in case of shear force also, shear force divided by differential area. So that becomes dV by dA. Now, this stress, this expression is for a particular differential area. Now, in this, if we assume that the stress is uniformly distributed over this whole cross-sectional area. So in that case, the normal stress and the shear stress will have formula this one. So this is the normal stress sigma P by A, and we consider this formula only when we assume that the stress over the whole cross-sectional area, I mean distribution of the stress over the whole cross-sectional area will be uniform. So then we can have the formula of stress as force upon area. Similarly, we represent the shear stress as tau, and which is V upon A. So V is this component and P is this component. So these two components are actually the component of this resultant force. So this is how we can find out the expression of normal stress and the shear stress. Now this shear stress is also average shear stress, and this normal stress is also average normal stress. Because if we want to analyze it, actually the distribution is not uniform over the whole cross-sectional area. So ultimately what we do is we find out the average normal stress. So in the average normal stress, we assume that the stress distribution is uniform. So this formula P by A, it is very important, and it is generally used in various formulas to design the member. So as you can see here, if this force is away from the cross section, then it is actually pulling the cross section. So in that case, we call this as tensile force or tensile stress. Stress generated because of the tensile force will be tensile stress. Now, if this force is pushing, then it will be known as compressive force. And the stress because of that compressive force will be compressive stress. Now talking about the units of the stress is Newton per meter square or Newton per mm square, because it is force per unit area. So the unit of force is Newton, and area can be expressed as meter square or mm square or centimeter square. So that is the unit for the stress. So we will continue our discussion in the next part. Thank you.